Welcome to Simplified Organization, a show for busy moms who are looking for practical help in managing their homes, families, and lives for God's glory. We want to keep it real without complaining, and we want to help women overcome the overwhelm and perfectionism that comes when we try comparing ourselves to other people and get distracted from the calling that God has given each one of us. I'm your host, Misty Winkler. I write and podcast at simplyconvivial.com, and I'm the author of the new book, Convivial Homeschool: Gospel Encouragement for Keeping Your Sanity While Living and Learning Alongside Your Kids. And today I am joined by Sarah Furrow. Sarah is a wife and homeschooling mom of 3. She's an avid reader, a writer, and she loves to nature journal with her kids. Sarah and her husband, Jason, moved to Honduras 15 years ago, where they founded Give Hope to Kids, a ministry that's caring for kids who were once abandoned or abused by raising them in healthy Honduran families. And Sarah is also an active member inside Simply Convivial Continuing Education and grad of our community coaching program. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So are you still in Honduras? Where are you at these days?
Yes, I'm in Honduras, here in my home. Lots of busyness going on around me. It's the holiday vacation break here, but we are building a tree fort this week for my kids and just have other projects going on before we start, jumping back into school and everything else this winter.
Wow. So you want to give people maybe a kind of picture of what a typical week looks like in your life?
That's a little challenging. I don't know how much I have a typical week other than the sense homeschooling is, a standard baseline for us. And other than that, our lives are constantly evolving, moving. We've managed 2 different campuses for our ministry. So we live at the new one that we're launching, but then we travel normally every other week, the 2 hours up into the mountains to the original campus. And it's a busy existence, but we love it.
Wow. Well, it sounds like amazing work up there. So how many kind of kids do you work with there?
So we have about 45 kids placed within 5 different homes. So we kind of specialize in taking in large sibling groups that would have, it's hard to place, for example, our largest sibling group is 8. And so we try to keep everybody together, and we have them being raised in healthy families instead of an institutional facility.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. So with a lot of details to manage in a foreign country,
Yes.
I am sure you know what it feels like to be overwhelmed.
Most definitely.
So how do you handle that?
Well, my natural tendency is to run and hide from being organized and from a plan. But as I started having kids, I started realizing about myself, I do a lot better when I put things on paper and I don't just wing it all the time. And then I found Misty, oh boy, it's been at least 5 years, if not longer, since I've been reading from your blog and learning. So I did the Work the Plan course years ago, and that just really, really helped me. And more as time has gone on, I've implemented more of those things. So I guess my first thing is like, don't run from planning, don't run from organizing. Cause like even this morning, waking up with, okay, post holidays, like we've got to get this place back into order, instead of, you feel the panic starting to rise. Okay, let's get the paper out, get it written down, and already the stress goes down.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed you said over time you've implemented more. And I think that that's a big key too, is not expecting to like, okay, I'm going to learn all the things and then just wake up the next day and do them all.
Yeah, because initially it can be kind of overwhelming there's many different implement to to how your system works with, you start with starting with what your role is. And you do have to start there. You have to know who you are and what your priorities need to be. And then, going from interval planning to weekly planning to daily planning. And, that structure when you're learning it, and even just the idea of it has to be on the calendar. Your calendar has to be correct. And, in the beginning, that was a new discipline. I didn't have that as a mom of little kids who rarely went out.
Yeah. And when you do go out, it actually takes a lot more time than just, okay, here's the time where we need to be somewhere. It's like, oh, wait, back that up.
Definitely. So I guess my biggest thing is starting with God, because we can't do it all. I can't do it all. I have way more possibilities on my plate than what I can actually make happen. And I guess I really feel like God's given me, just with the story of the loaves and the fishes, kind of this idea of I give my best, I give what I can, and then I have to trust that God does with it what he needs done with it. Because, if I look at what I need to do, is not all going to happen.
Right. Yeah. For sure. And sometimes when we start planning, that's what we are thinking is going to happen. I'm going to find a way to plan, a method, or maybe a planner that's going to help me make it all happen. But yeah, we have to start from recognizing that's just not a thing.
And more I realize that God is trying to teach us to depend on him day by day and moment by moment. And that's what he wants for our lives. He doesn't want us to have it all figured out. I always joked about, I felt like I was supposed to be Superwoman. I'm supposed to be able to do it all. And that's actually not God's plan for me. God's plan for me is to learn to depend on him.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a comforting thought when it finally does start sinking in that that God's plan for me isn't to be, the most awesome put together person whose plans always work out all the time.
Yeah. Because if that's where you start from, thinking you have to be that, then I think that's where the comparison trap happens for women, that it's like, well, all of the other people must have it together and I don't,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I'm sitting next to my unmade bed because that's, I had other things that were more important today than doing that.
Mm-hmm. You can find out more about Give Hope to Kids, the Furrows ministry in Honduras, in the links below. Sarah also mentioned that she does interval planning. This is a method that we teach inside Simply Convivial Continuing Education. It's sort of like quarterly or monthly planning, but more flexible and adaptable for real family life. Interval planning is how we keep the big picture in view without getting bogged down by that picture being a bit too big. You can find our free interval planning guide at simplyconvivial.com/interval. That's simplyconvivial.com/interval to get started with the free interval guide today. We do interval planning, weekly planning, daily planning, meal planning, all these things so that we can serve our families and our God with joy. If we don't keep the main point, then none of it really matters. If you want to learn planning skills like Sarah mentioned, then you can join myself and Sarah inside the Simply Convivial Continuing Education community. Check it out. Just go to simplyconvivial.com and click the green enroll button to learn more about our programs, what's included, and how to make planning a good servant and tool and not your master. That's simplyconvivial.com and click the green enroll button and find out more about Simply Convivial Continuing Education, where we are always applying our motto: repent, rejoice, repeat.